Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you. You did it, Dan. I don't know what you did.
I have no idea. I had to download Zoom again. I use Zoom like 3 times a week. And then I had to click on the sidewalks. And then I had to click on how many taxis I saw. Does anyone have to do this stuff? Oh my God.
They do
How
so
many
many
taxis did you see?
They do so many updates that you have to redo it a lot.
Well, sorry about that. I try my best with technology, and sometimes I think I'm pretty good, and then I don't know.
Just when you think you've got it.
Yeah. All right, so then we have a quorum. Let's open the meeting at 7:06. I appreciate everybody's patience. I don't see anyone else trying to come in. Jen, can I make you a co-host, please? In case something like happens or.
Yep.
All right, so I go to you, make co-host. Did it work? It might take a minute.
I saw a little indication on my top screen that says that she's now a co-host.
Oh, Jackie, you're wonderful. All right. So we've called the meeting to order. Public hearings. All right. Moving on, review of the agenda and perpetual calendar. And just as a reminder, school committee or elections are coming up at town meeting. We're hoping that people will take out papers for school committee. Tonight, I believe we're going to have the discussion and vote on school choice. Our town newsletter, I think I'll write something in that and I'll send everybody a copy before I send it. And I think we're working on the superintendent evaluation stuff. And school committee survey, I don't even know if you, or school council survey, I don't even know if you guys are doing a survey this year.
We've had a lot of feedback that people are done with surveys.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about having like an open-ended one. Not our typical, like we've really changed it up over the years, as you know, to be quite simple. And I'm really thinking of honestly, maybe having 1 or 2 questions and then like a spot where people can just brain dump anything that they want to share about their thoughts or their ideas or their concerns or their happiness or whatever. But I think that that's the best option. That way, I'm just very aware everyone is at their limit.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I wouldn't call it a survey. I would just call it something like feedback, because you can't survey.
Yeah.
And that's just my.
That's a good suggestion.
All right. Warrants and gifts.
All right,
Stephen?
I have 4 of them. Trevor, I'll send you the email. There's warrant number 3022 from 3/22/21 in the amount of $16,206.33. Number 3023 from April 5th, 21 in the amount of $40,944.17. And then I have 2 payroll warrants. Number 320 from April 5th, 21 in the amount of $67,507.79. And number 321 from April 19th, 21 in the amount of $69,575.89. And I'll send that to you, Trevor.
Excellent. Thank you. So we will just record that those warrants are going into the record. Any gifts? No gifts. Wah, wah. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from March 18th, 2021?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay. Stephen? Second? I'll second it.
I'll second it.
All right, we'll go with Stephen as a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Unfinished business. Jackie, you want to give us an opening update? 2020, 2021?
Sure. Can I just, do you mind me asking if I can just kind of say all my stuff right now?
That'd be wonderful.
Great. So return to school full day has gone as well as you could hope. And we're all building up our tolerance for being in a social situation for the entire day, and being in a alert learning position the entire day. We have a lot of students saying they're very tired. I think you probably saw in the road town there, I'm saying a lot of comments like they're super happy but very tired. It's been delightful to see everyone coming back. We have a large tent now in our lower field that was utilized today for lunch in the rain. We have other tents around the building. All of our lunches are outside, and that has gone very well. We are doing that bento box program, like I told you, that Chef Gail has worked out, and it's going really successfully. And one day we had something like 96% of the kids getting lunch. Like, there's a really high amount of interest in that. And we're having an artist in residence program an outdoor opportunity in May with the Pity Theater, and it's basically an improv artist in residence, and there's going to be like a traveling outside improv performance, which we think could be very cool. And again, I want to do a shout out to our 5th grade teacher, Laura Ginsburg-Peltz. She's the one who applied and researched and got that STARS grant for us. And we're very grateful. It's something special to look forward to at the end of the year. As of the Monday we come back from break, 2 of our homeschool students have returned back to the school system. We did welcome them in, the very grateful families and students there. And also, as of the Monday after break, we will only have 6 virtual students left. At this point, there's multiple classrooms with 100% participation in school, and there's obviously some with 1 or 2 students out, but there are only 6 in our entire school. So our numbers are also going up with people coming back in general, but and there's a lot of interest in school choice, which we'll talk about, a lot of applications, particularly from Amherst, that we're getting. Yeah, so we have a lot. We're welcoming back everybody, and we're figuring out our systems. All of our pre-planning has really paid off. It's been pretty smooth. Expectations are understood. Families are in the know. Pickup drop-off is getting smoother with every go. Having a little bit of bumpy issues with the bus company. I think Jen and Jen might talk to this too, and Amherst and the sharing of buses. It's actually been quite frustrating, and we've been, it's been a lot. And I'll let Jen kind of speak to some of that, and I'll also hop in with her. So it has not been a smooth transition with buses. I'll just put it out there like that. That's really all I have for my update and my reopening. So it's been great. We're tired. We're really ready for vacation. Very, very ready. Kind of weird. There's going to be snow tomorrow, but we're trying not to think about that. But it's been really, really nice to be with everybody and have some feeling of some normalcy back in the school.
So I just want to thank you, the entire administrative team, as well as the teachers and staff for persevering, moving forward. Thank you for welcoming the people coming back into the school, including those who had made decisions to do homeschooling. You know, obviously this has been a difficult time for everybody. Everybody's trying to make what they think is the best decisions for their families, and it's been hard on everybody. So thank you. I will also comment on the bus situation. I am hearing that everywhere. Everyone seems to be having issues, from the Mohawk Trail Regional School System to Northampton, everywhere seems to be having difficulties. I have no idea what the root cause is, but it seems to be everywhere. That's just my comment. Any questions or comments for Jackie on her report? All right, thank you. Okay, capital projects. Could I just make a comment before we move forward with talking about capital projects? I did receive a letter from the buildings committee. I believe, Stephen, maybe you were CC'd in on that. It was from Bob Groves. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I will forward it to everybody so everybody has, has the letter. So I just want to comment that I think the concern is just making sure that we all, that we have some sort of a protocol or process in order to figure things out. My personal feeling or comment is we all live in the town. Well, not all of us that are here, but my hope is that we can all work together. We can come up with a process that really works. I will say that we all have the best interest of the school at heart. I think many people also have the interest of all taxpayers at heart. So I feel like I just want to keep it professional, not personal in any way. And I'm not pointing fingers, accusing anyone of anything. I just want to make sure that we can just work together. Okay? I'll send everyone the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Can you either read the letter or give us Bob's perspective on the letter? Because
I meant to have that letter here and I don't, but let me see if I can find it. Unless, do you have a copy there, Steve? Or
Yeah, I'll send it out, but I will just say that letter was not endorsed by the buildings committee. It was directly from Bob, and it'll be on our next buildings committee agenda.
If you can find the letter and read it, that'd be good. I meant to do that.
thank you.
Did you find it?
I'm happy to work in a joint spirit of cooperation, and I'm going to be very honest about that. It goes both ways, and I'm certainly able to work professionally when I'm treated respectfully as well.
Absolutely.
And I would like to second that. We're more than willing to work together. We're not trying to, believe me, step on anybody's toes. I think we're trying to provide information to the town so that they can make informed decisions.
Yeah, I know that. And I've said the same thing on the other side. So I just want people, I think that's just my nature. I just like people being happy.
Well, yeah, if we all work together, we can come up with really good solutions to some really difficult and expensive, I think, problems here. So
Exactly. And I also think that when we work as a team, and that's what we need to do, that it's not a burden on any one of us. It's something that all of us need to carry. So Any luck on that, Stephen?
well, while Stephen's looking, do you mind?
I found it. I found it. It's a little long, but I can read it.
Read it real quick.
Okay. Dear Select Board members, I am writing as current chair of the Town Buildings Committee. At your last meeting, Building Committee agreed that I would write to Select Board. This letter has not been reviewed by the committee. During the past year, the Buildings Committee did not meet between 2/5/20 and 3/17/21. We were unable to assemble a quorum during that time. This was due to COVID restrictions and the technical difficulties of remote meetings. It is my understanding that the role of the Buildings Committee is to help evaluate and solve problems associated with town buildings. This includes regular maintenance as well as requests by departments for improvements. The Buildings Committee, as a rule, is comprised of builders and people in the trades or construction. There are some occasions where the Buildings Committee will review the original request and not recommend it or provide substantial information that will provide town departments with an evaluation that is different from their own. In other words, provide a critical assessment. For example, SES requested new windows. SES had received quotes from a local supplier to replace. Cost equals list price minus 10%. After review, the Buildings Committee made inquiries to the manufacturer, and after meeting with their engineers, was able to obtain new windows for the entire school at a cost of list price minus 65%. Buildings Committee was able to hire a local carpenter and painter to complete the installation for a very reasonable cost. Thus, the town benefited from a process which included review and analysis. In the years since, as member and then chair of the Buildings Committee, I have experienced great frustration trying to repeat this process. Some examples: the SES boiler request, SES paving, SES sidewalks, town hall boiler replacement, SES water heater replacement. In all these cases, the town administrator has done her best to avoid or ignore any participation by the Buildings Committee. This is despite the fact that I have been present when the town administrator was instructed by the Select Board, Finance Committee, School Committee, and Capital Planning Committee to include the Building Committee in this process. The reason is simple to understand. The town administrator has her own views about what should and should not be done in these matters and does not brook any interferences by town committees. At the moment, there are some big projects / expenses on the horizon. SES roof, SES heating system improvements, Lake Wyola culvert job. Buildings Committee has been excluded from these projects. No notification was provided that Buildings Committee should meet to handle them. Last week, School Committee Chair asked Buildings Committee to get involved in heating issue. We are attempting to get up to speed on this, but it is very short notice. Although Buildings Committee has been intimately involved in the SES roof problem for years, and I have personally been contacted to help anytime the roof leaked, we are not part of the current study. I do not think this serves the interest of the town taxpayers to do business this way. My term on the Buildings Committee is up at the end of the fiscal year. All right, I can be done.
Okay. All right. So the
I'll
letter
send
is ready.
that.
Thank you. And
Can you include all of us in that, Steve, please?
yeah, and Trevor as a record.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so why don't we get an update on the capital projects?
So with the roof, I've been working with Becky and the engineers, and she has a couple of local residents, I believe, working with us. We've come up with a plan, and we're finalizing the plan, and I think the idea is to come up with bid specifications that we can go out to bid with in a shortly. So there is some significant redesign of the drainage off the roof. As you are aware now, it currently comes out the scuppers on the side and into a gutter that's all been hacked up. The idea is now is to create kind of I'll call it a swale for lack of a better term, put some slope from where the scuppers are down, and then put drain pipes down that come across through inside the building and use the scuppers as basically an overflow. And this will keep the flow of water off the roof from going on the sidewalks and or down that little roof and on the sidewalks. Apparently there's enough drain underground in that that was built into the building to handle whatever will come off the roof. So, you know, a little detour, but I think it'll be a good plan, and I think it'll be help with the icing and so forth on the sidewalks and stuff too. So that's where we're at. I suspect to hear more in the not too distant future about that.
So can I ask the question on that?
Sure.
So first of all, that I suspect would also address the issues with the sidewalk heaving, which I think is what the issue with people tripping over it because of the water coming under the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is this going out to the school building authority for review?
Right now, the school building authority, I will be applying, but the application period just opens next week. So as soon as the period opens, we will certainly put in an application for that and the heat system. So,
Great.
yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any questions about the roof? Okay, move forward. Oh, Stephen?
Yes, there was a member of the Buildings Committee and a Finance Committee member who on Monday went to the school semi-unannounced and took a look at the boilers, and the Buildings Committee met on Monday night, and the Buildings Committee has agreed that yes, we do need new controls.
Right,
But where it goes from there, I can't tell you.
right. And I think the controls were what were in those proposals that we received from both of those companies, Jamrog and Nexus or whatever. But again, I think once we have a clear understanding of what we need to fix, then it needs to be the bidding process where there's a spec made so that they're comparing apples to apples. Okay.
At some point, Dan, we may have to probably get an engineer or design professional involved because of the cost of the project. It's over $100,000. So,
Okay. Thank you. And Bruce, was there anything else? The sliders or?
I think right now, Becky and I are more or less trying to, because the sliders need because of the thing, and need a little bit of design so we can go out to bid on that too, because I think that needs to be at least quoted. So
And has that been looked at by the buildings committee? You mentioned Becky.
you'll have to ask Steve about that.
They have in the past. I don't know if they have recently.
Because I do recall that there was a recommendation, and then Bruce, if I'm not mistaken, it was going to be originally installed by the janitors, and then it was determined the janitors weren't going to do it, so that there was money set aside for somebody to install those. But is that the same plan or?
Well, yes and no. I think the original thought of replacing the windows and with the same windows is based on information I got, is not a great idea. And then I think Matt had a plan of rebuilding the whole opening, and he's since reconsidered that situation. So I think now it's, you know, I have a plan from Greenfield Glass. I don't know where we want to go with it from there, but that's something I think we need probably in the next few weeks to get the building committee involved. And, you know, if I have to join, that's fine. And talk about it and really get down to the nitty gritty. Is this something we want to do? How we want to do it? And that kind of stuff. So.
Right, because if I recall, we had a plan. The plan was approved by capital planning and the finance committee. So I guess I'm just wondering who changed the plan.
That's a good question. I think the plan I think, in my opinion, the custodial staff looked at it and said, our plan may not be the best
right.
idea, and they reconsidered it. I think that's, in my opinion, talking with Matt, I think that's where he feels, not only that, but he just doesn't have the time to do it. And at this point in time, the second window is beginning to show, well, it's not beginning to show, it's showing
So
some
my personal,
serious need of replacement possibly.
yeah,
So
my
if we're gonna do them, we should do them both.
right.
So,
My personal feeling is, and you know, Jackie might be able to shed more light on this, but especially now with COVID and everything happening, I think the janitors are busy with what their normal routine and job is. So I think to ask them to do something like that, that's really sort of out of their job description, perhaps out of their, you know, I think it's probably wasn't a good plan to begin with. So I think we should regroup. I like your idea of working with the buildings committee, town administrator, everyone, and let's come up with a plan. We need
Yeah.
those replaced and fixed.
yeah,
We need to
and
get
the
it
other,
done.
the other issue that Matt spoke to is, in order to do work in a building like that, you really need to be a licensed professional.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
it was a
either
bad
Matt
plan.
or
So we need to come up
Andrew
with a new-
are licensed um, construction, so, I mean,
Yeah.
that really, you know, they got thinking about it and said, this is really beyond what we can do, and I really support that decision. I think
I do too.
they
That's
got
it for
plenty to
you?
do, and they're gonna have a busy summer, I think, doing carpeting and things like that, so.
Absolutely. They have enough to do. All right. Anything else, Bruce? On capital planning?
Not from me, Dan. I think we've gone over everything, and
Okay,
I appreciate Steve's input there too, because we're all in the soup together, and it's really the town it's the town's building, so I respect that.
all right. And Stephen, do you have anything to add as far as capital planning projects that you're aware of, or?
No, we're meeting on the 21st to discuss this I believe it's just the window.
Great. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
You-
just that is on 4/21.
great.
And I know
Well,
that
I'd like to
Matt,
join if that's okay, Steve. I just,
yeah,
I appreciate it, both of you, very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to new business, school of choice vote. Jackie, I know you'll probably talk a little bit about that, or maybe Jennifer. I will say that we all did receive the enrollment numbers. It looks like the current numbers of school choice is 26. Okay, I just wanted to make that sort of a note for the record. Let's
And a
begin with
lot- I don't know the exact number, Dan, but a good amount of them are staff children. Just
That's
so you
good. Thank you.
know. Oh, sorry. Would you like me to speak now?
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. So I would like you to vote to accept school choice. I am going to be pretty honest with you in a good way. Our numbers are looking better in the town. And so I'm still honoring my commitment that I have said since the beginning that I am not opening school choice in grade levels with more than 18 students, because I want to be able to provide the townspeople of Shutesbury the level of education that is so beloved in the town. And right now and I also have said that I really would like to not accept school choice students after grade 3 unless they're a sibling of a younger student that we admit. And I do that purposely because I want to build a relationship with the family to continue to have a community-based school where we're growing together through the years. And also just being a working educator for years, I do know that when people start having some issues with their schools as their kids grow, they tend to try to look other places. And I'm not necessarily interested in that. I'm interested in growing a connection with the family from the very beginning. And so as has been for the past few years, I would accept school choice in kindergarten through grade 3 if the class has 18 or less students in it. Or actually I should say 17 or less. I would let it be 18. And right now it's only looking like it would be first grade, the incoming first grade class and the incoming third grade class would be the only classes with space available at this moment. We have a very large kindergarten class coming in, and we have a very large first grade class moving up to second grade. So, and we have a very large amount of kids waiting in preschool. Which is a great thing. As you know, the real estate market's popping, and we have been getting a lot of people saying that they're looking to buy in Shutesbury or wanting to buy in Shutesbury and having trouble finding a house. So it's exciting. You know, I just remember 5 years ago us talking about our worry about enrollment and no one moving into the town. And I really do feel like that has shifted dramatically in the past 2 years, but especially this year. We do have a lot of applications, like I told you, particularly from some surrounding towns. So that's also something, I mean, we've always had some applications, but this year seems to be more than normal. And yeah, so that's my recommendation, that yes, we would accept school choice.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve of being a school choice school?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second. Or
Oh, we got 2 seconds. Thank you. Discussion from school committee members. I'll just say I wholeheartedly support all of the reasons behind your plan. Our job is to approve, and your job is to execute the plan, and the plan can change. That'll be up to you. Okay. Any other comments or anything from school committee? Okay. I do think this is an important vote, so I would like to do a roll call vote on that. So all those in favor of becoming a school, or remaining a school choice school, Hayes, aye.
Malcolm Brown, aye.
Under I. Katie, I'm fighting you.
Sullivan, I.
Okay. So Trevor, they all did say aye. I think 2 of them said at the same time. Okay. All right. Thank you. So passes. All right. Reports, superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. We talked about Shutesbury's reopening, just to let you know. All of the schools had, I think, as smooth as possible reopening as one can during a pandemic. The principals and teachers shared with me how wonderful it was to see all of the children getting off the buses and out of cars and coming into school, smiling. And now we know we can see smiles and eyes, right? Because they're wearing their masks, but it was wonderful to see. I took some time to visit all of the schools. I believe it was, I don't know if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It feels like a long time ago. Maybe it was last week. And it was just really wonderful to walk through schools that have been empty for so long and hear children's voices and see children outside. 6th grade in Leverett doing science outside, watching PE at Shutesbury outside, seeing the Swift River kids outside in Irving, having lunch under a tent. It was really wonderful. I did have a group of 3rd and 4th graders at Leverett write letters to me regarding snow days, and didn't I remember what it was like to be a kid? So they addressed them all to Superintendent Culkeen, and as I walked around, I introduced myself and I said, I'm Jen, I'm the superintendent. And one of the children said, as in like the superintendent, like the superintendent Culkeen? That's me. So it was really just wonderful to interact with kids in real time. It was really great to see. As for snow days, it seems our little hill towns are due for some snow. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's rain. At the beginning of the year, Commissioner Riley had said that we could this year only have remote days in place of snow days. However, in speaking to Desi today, elementary schools are not allowed any longer to do remote days. So if there is snow tomorrow, it must be a snow day. At this point, only secondary schools are allowed to have remote days. So who knows what will come tomorrow morning. We've been busy with interviews. We, at the leadership team, decided to use some of our ESSER money to hire adjustment counselors to help our students and support them in return to school and social emotional support. And in the through the lens of regional efficiencies, we decided to hire Union 28 adjustment counselors. A little wrangling on the back end about, you know, how to make it so they don't get 4 paychecks or 2 paychecks. We got that covered. So we had interviews today. We had some wonderful candidates, and we'll be wrapping that up. And when we return from vacation, it will be time to interview for a new director of student support services. Looking forward to interviewing those candidates. But as you know, it will be with a wee bit of a heavy heart since Prudy and I have worked together for my whole 6 years here. So that will be a change, but change can be good. And lastly, busing. So we have had some issues. Certainly Amherst has met with us and been supportive and have heard our concerns. However, the secondary students will be shifting their time to a later time, not just next year, but also this year, which then is impactful on our bus times. One of the solutions was putting the secondary students on the buses with our K-6 students. And we voiced our concerns with the transportation folks in Amherst, the superintendent, and the folks over at 5 Star. They do have 2 other buses that they said that they could use to not have us be on a bus with secondary students. However, the most recent update I got was that there's a 3rd bus that they need, and so they're not sure if they're going to be able to separate our secondary and elementary students. So we continue to work with that, but it really is an issue. And it does feel like decisions are made, and because we are part of the Amherst contract, it feels a little bit like the trickle down effect. They certainly are open to hearing our concerns, but it feels like we get sort of, they make the decision and then we figure out how to work with it. Not for this year, but it is a conversation I want to have at the joint supervisory level. Is there some way that all 4 Union 28 schools and all 5 towns can think about maybe having one bus contract that we all contribute to?
Yeah,
so
and Jen, if I could just make a public statement.
I would like you to.
Yeah, I am extremely, and I made this very clear to the superintendent of Amherst, I am extremely concerned about our elementary students sharing buses with our secondary students, not only for developmental reasons, but the cross-contamination of schools during COVID. And there's a lot to it. I think our parents are going to be appalled. If this is going to happen, they don't have notice yet because we didn't think it was going to have to happen, which means that they're going to have basically 1 day notice before their 5-year-old's going to get on a bus with a 16 or a 17-year-old, or even kind of harder, the middle schoolers. And I'm extremely concerned. I'm sad about it. And I would love the committee's support in any way you feel is appropriate about what to do about that, because I know you're going to hear from families if it goes through. And I feel like we've met with Amherst and we have given some ideas for some solutions, and it's sounding like that might those solutions might not be able to happen. So I just want to publicly say I am extremely concerned, and I'm really kind of sad about how it all has gone down with very small notice.
So
Yeah,
Bruce, are
I
you?
echo that concern. Bruce is a part of that too, and I don't know if Bruce wants to share. He was at our last conversation.
Yeah, and it was a pretty interesting conversation to say the least. But, you know, the thing is, and this is my frustration, right now, our kids are in and we've got a plan that seems to be working. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie, but seems to be working very well. And now all of a sudden the other kids are moving in and we're having to dance around, and it's a little frustrating. To Dan, to your issue that you raised earlier, though, bus contractors are having a real hard time right now finding drivers, and that's one of the driving issues behind a lot of this. Is number one, that the population that does a lot of driving are older or parents, and the older, my understanding is the older people are having difficult time wearing masks all day and taking all the precautions and having a concern for themselves. So it's a challenge right now, and I hope we can overcome the challenge, because it's only going to get worse if we can't. So.
But do you also connect with other business managers? I know that the business managers used to talk about buses and configurations and all of that.
I do, and we still talk about them. And actually, we work together with several Franklin County schools to come up with our last contract that we have with New Salem, Wendell, and Irving. Is tied in with many of the other Franklin County schools. Like the tech school and Gil Montague and Pioneer. So, but
the thing too, though, Bruce, like Bruce brought this up in our meeting. We're contracted to be able to have, what is it, 9, Bruce? 9 buses?
Actually, the Amherst contract reads that they contracted for 21, but the contract says also they have the possibility of using up to 30. And right now, and even they say when we got through in our meeting there that, we have 2 more buses that you guys are paying for that we have available, but the problem is they don't have drivers, and that's their problem.
And the other issue, Bruce, is that they're saying with those 2 buses, that the routes would be too long for the secondary students, and they'll need a 3rd bus. And they have a bus that we at Shutesbury Elementary use, they said, for a limited amount of students, because they needed to shorten another route. So there's all of these reasons we're being told, and it's the return and the time shift at the secondary level in the region is becoming impactful at Shutesbury and Leverett.
Yeah, but I just want to make a point too. It's like, but we don't see Amherst kids having to, their 5-year-olds aren't riding a bus with their 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So again, I'm feeling a little frustrated. Of course, we'll make it work. Our parents are not going to be happy if this is the way it's going to go down. And then who deals with the bus issues when a 5-year-old is hearing the language and the inappropriate things from the middle schoolers? Like, is that now my responsibility to try to deal with the 8th grader that, is being inappropriate? Like, that's also not feeling great. And we're tired. It's the end of the year. There are long days. There's a lot of things that is making me extremely concerned around this decision.
Right, I agree with you. I guess what I'm kind of focusing on is, I know when business managers, again, I'm probably talking about years ago, they would get together, they would sort of have a guru that would look at, and I know that there are computer models that show how things are all going to work. So to your point, do we partner with someone else? But at those meetings, are you discussing this, Bruce?
We,
Or haven't you, because of the COVID?
the previous contract that Franklin County did, they hired an outside consultant that went through and looked at a lot of stuff and made some changes. And of course, we would like to evaluate our routes every year. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't think we do that. And that's why I've asked already with Amherst Pelham if we can start in June planning for the fall. If they're providing transportation with us, we need to be involved and certainly at the table when they start talking doing routes. So right now it's just kind of everybody's been put in this position, and I'm hoping we can work out a solution. That's all we can do. So, and they 5-Star does have a routing software. The unfortunate problem, as the fellow admitted the other day, is he doesn't have the map for Franklin County, so that doesn't help us. So,
But when one bids on a bus route that includes our Franklin County schools, that to me seems like it should have been part and parcel of it,
yeah.
on their part, not on ours, right? But they should have known that they were servicing some Franklin County schools.
And I think we made very clear our frustrations with them the other day. So,
Jackie, question?
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I think, honest, I'm just being like transparent. I'm just exhausted. I'm like COVID exhausted, but like, it's just like one more thing that the principals have to deal with in this crazy mess for the last 8 weeks. And it's just really tricky.
It's exhausting. And
But
I know,
also like Bruce says, I hope we can figure it out, but we have one day. We have one day of school tomorrow, and it's probably going to be a snow day. So I really have 0 days to communicate.
But
And
I feel like, Jackie, we're figuring out something, but we're not in control of it because it sits somewhere else. And that's the part that feels really frustrating. Like I can call Mike Morris. I just talked to him twice today. I can advocate, we can have meetings, but in the end, it's not a decision that Union 28 makes or that Shutesbury makes or that Leverett makes. And so that's the part that feels super tricky and frustrating, to be quite frank.
well, it comes down to what does the contract say? But also I think that maybe we need to be a little bit more in control of the decision-making when it comes to crafting a contract in a bus route. And again, I know it's been done differently at different times. Yes, consultants come in, they have their magic,
yeah, right now the Amherst guys do it. The 2 people that work in their
Right.
transportation office.
Right. There's a great guy, and I believe he's in Franklin County. I'll get his name, but yeah, I mean, we do it in Franklin County too. So again, I'm thinking we need to be a part of the conversation and be partners in this and not just the tail. So I don't know what happens this year. As you said, Jackie, we don't have much time. We're going to have to probably mitigate whatever effects, but I think moving forward, we need to figure out how do we address this issue and how are we going to be sitting at the table, being a part of the decision-making and not just take what we get.
It would also be really awesome, and I understand if you don't want to do it, but if the school committee had a statement of support that we could put behind it, would also maybe feel a little more impactful than like the principal and really begging them to not do it, which is what it is.
So does anyone want to make a motion on a statement?
I mean, I don't even know. You guys could not think it's a big deal. I'm just putting out my feelings.
Well, I think to me, the biggest, again, it's hard to know all the details, the moving parts, and we're just having this discussion now. So I don't know if we can really feel comfortable with like saying or taking a position. But I think what's clear is what's happening shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be told something without being able to plan and prepare for it. And again, moving forward, we need to be at the table, at the seat, and we need to be a part of the decision-making and not just take what we get. But I will say that as a resolution, I would propose that we share a concern with our administration that busing changes are happening without equal representation at the table. And we're not happy with that. Would you like to second that, Stephen, or you have something to add?
I'm not going to second that.
No? Okay. Do you want to amend it? Or do you want to
No,
do something?
I'll wait.
Okay. Jen, Malcolm.
I am just curious if this has come up at all with the regional school committee and if Steve knows any more about the decision making.
We were hit with this at our last meeting, and I almost fell out of my chair because it had never been discussed, never brought up. And I made it very clear that it was unacceptable. And I approached it from the direction of when Amherst is talking about putting their sixth graders in the middle school, and there was a huge outcry about putting sixth graders on the bus with high schoolers. So that's the way I came at it was, are you kidding me? If you were worried about putting sixth graders on the bus, what are we doing putting possibly preschoolers and kindergartners on that same bus? And there was no response from the rest of the committee at all. They're just happy to get their time change.
Good for you,
Katie?
Steve.
I would support a stronger statement than what Dan had suggested. That, you know, some kind of a statement specifically highlighted the concerns of mixing these children in an unsupervised setting, because you can't count a bus driver as a supervisor of the children. That's not reasonable.
Even better. Even better. Do you want to make a statement? And
I'm not really sure how my wording is. Let's hear what Lauren's saying on that too. I'm guessing, I think we're all sort of having similar thoughts about how to word that into
Sure,
something
Lauren.
more clear. I would like a little help with.
you guys have been fighting all night. Go ahead, Lauren.
I feel like another element of it, that there's lack of our representation as part of the discussion, but also a disproportionate impact. We have no say, and yet we're the ones who have kindergartners on the bus with 12th graders. And that is, you know, so I feel like it's a three-pronged issue. One, the concern about what's actually happening, which is 5-year-olds on the bus with 17 and 18-year-olds potentially, but also that it's happening to Leverett and Shutesbury, and we are not having a voice.
Well, is it happening with Leverett, Jen, now, or is it really just Shutesbury? At first it was Leverett, but now I don't know.
I think he talked about Shutesbury because you were there and Annie wasn't, but I don't think that they would do something different for Shutesbury. I can certainly clarify again, but my understanding in conversations was that it was impacting the Leverett and Shutesbury runs.
From what Dr. Morris mentioned at the last regional, it truly sounded like it was only Shutesbury.
So, Steve, since you serve on the regional school committee, although this is kind of complicated, maybe we could ask if the issue is really with the bus company not being able to hire additional people. Again, the problem is with them and not with us, and they should hire people and get those buses going.
Well, and one of the solutions, Dan, was I said that I still had some grant money and I have some other money from savings in our budget. I would even pay a little more for the last 8 weeks to make sure that we had, you know, in my opinion, a safer bus ride for the kid and a more appropriate bus ride. And that was mentioned, Jen, correct, at the meeting, that was something that
Yes, it was.
willing to consider if it meant we even had to pay a little more. But then Bruce brought up the contract and we're not even getting the amount of buses that the contract says. So anyway,
So it sounds like a breach of contract. That's not good.
Unfortunately, it does.
Yeah.
And I
So-
think Bruce was very direct in that meeting, and then I'm not sure how well received it was.
Mhm. Well, I think we definitely need to follow up and push them and explain that this could be a breach of contract.
Yeah, and I gotta thank Steve for sticking up for us too. I think that's,
Yeah.
they really need to know that this
Could
is a
we ask
very,
Adam?
very large concern of ours.
Maybe we should ask Adam Dupre if it is.
I don't know what we're entitled to if they literally tell us that they cannot fill the seat of the bus, which is, I think, what they were trying to allude to in our meeting, that they literally did not have another person. And then I brought up, like, if I have an issue in my school and I can't fill a position, then it's my job to contract out and find a way to fill it. And so I brought that up at the meeting too. And I said, you know, if you can't fulfill this contract, then aren't you now responsible to go to Kuzmeskis and say, hey, now we need to contract for another bus to be able to fill this route? And that wasn't received that well either.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering, Bruce, if you could share the contract with Adam Dupre and then ask him his advice relative to this situation.
the biggest problem is we technically aren't a party to the contract. Shutesbury is not a party to the contract. We're kind of included in it, but we're not any kind of a signer. The only signer is the regional district. It's kind of, yeah.
But it may give them, by advocating for our school, may give them the data or information that they need to be able to push the bus company to fulfill the terms of the contract.
I don't disagree. I can send it. I'll send it to Adam. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think we should, I think we got to push. I think
He may already have it. I don't know if he represents.
We don't need to just
He
take it.
doesn't,
Oh,
he
okay.
doesn't represent them, Bruce.
Okay. So I will send it to him.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I just have one more thing. I will be brief. I know it's getting late. But we hear a lot about all the hard work the teachers are doing and the paras are doing, and they are. But I want to honor the hard work that the principals are doing, especially the principals in Union 28. In tiny little schools, the principals are doing arrival, dismissal, teaching penmanship, washing tables, teaching music, being the substitute. And the reason our openings go so smoothly is because our principals orchestrate that behind the scenes without a lot of fanfare. And I just want to say to all of the principals in Union 28, but tonight to Jackie, the reason we are so successful is because of you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. I'm a little emotional, so I'm just going to say thank you.
Okay. All right, so Jen,
So are
Yes.
we, oh, which Jen were you referring?
it's Jennifer.
I forgot
and
I'm
Jen-
Jennifer.
Right.
I forgot that, yes.
So are we trying to draft a statement together here?
I think it'd be good. Do you have one?
I have a draft of one that I think we need something more strong about the safety of our students. But based on the feedback I have, the Shutesbury School Committee is strongly urging the Amherst Regional School District to reconfigure the busing plan for the remainder of the 2021 school year due to the lack of representation and disproportionate impact on the Shutesbury school community. I do think we need to say something strongly about the safety of the elementary students and really spell that out, but I'd look for other people's thoughts about that.
I would say something about the developmental level of our elementary students compared to the developmental level of middle and high school students.
And the lack of, in my opinion, the lack of supervision is a really critical issue.
Yes.
So we can, if you guys want to sort of craft a little thing there, we can move on to the other reports and just sort of come back to that later. How's that?
Sounds good, thank you.
If that's okay. All right. Director of Finance and Operations, do you have anything else to report there, Bruce?
Yeah, a couple things. I was over and talked to Matt one day and he says he's having issues changing light bulbs and stuff. So Matt and I will be looking into a lift, see if we can find a man lift. I know in Irving, they have one and the custodian over there was up climbing up in the rafters, cleaning up and vacuuming the rafters one day. So he and I talked about it. It's something that'd probably be very useful. So if we can find one for a reasonable price, I think that's something we might do. The other thing is, and I know Matt's got a quote on a phone system. I think Jackie and Matt and I would need to talk. There's some alternatives, so I think that's something I'd like to also pursue this year. I think for not a lot of money, we can put in a new phone system. It's a little more per month, but it would help them over there. So something I'm looking into. We actually put a new phone system in Leverett, and I think we're hopefully going to do one in Irving this year. So making progress there. So, and that's about it. We talked a lot about transportation and capital and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much all I have tonight. Oh, and to mention, Jen mentioned the grant. It's the ESSER 2 grant, and we found out that we can combine all of our resources together and create a fiduciary, which New Salem Wendell Union will be, and they effectively will be hiring these adjustment counselors, and we will be using them union-wide as a, and there may be some other things that we do union-wide with that ESSER 2 money. And the other thing is, and I don't know if you're aware, but the state legislature and House have come up with a budget resolution that increased Chapter 70 slightly over what the governor had. So I think it's about $3,000 or $4,000 more to Shutesbury. So some good news financially. So.
And I just want to recognize Pam Rogers, who partnered with Bruce and then spent lots of time after hours working with Desi about how we could begin to start being efficient in the administration of our grants. There were times Pam was well beyond her work hours in connecting with people from Desi. So I just want to publicly say thank you to Pam.
Yeah, she was very helpful with me helping put these grants together. They're not as simple as easy as you think, and and we're talking, $80, $90, $100,000 to all these schools.
So she's amazing.
She is amazing.
Just to put it out there.
And to kind of finalize things, the ESSER 3, which is the latest, the $1.9 trillion that the feds are putting out, we're waiting to get our final numbers, but it looks to me like it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 for each of our districts to help support learning loss and all kinds of other stuff in the district. So once we figure that out, I think that the Department of Ed's not even going to release stuff until after the first of the fiscal year, because right now everybody's got enough to do. So
do we have Wi-Fi outside the school now?
It's being installed over break.
Okay. And what did we end up going with? Is it'll whatever.
I don't, you saw
Everybody
Debbie's. It's good, and it's about like $7,000 when all is said and done.
Okay. And Bruce, do you think we'd be able to use some of the money from?
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that won't come out of the budget then?
Probably not. We can use the ESSER money for that, or the COVID relief. I think Jackie's been pretty conservative with her use of the grant money, so there should
We've
be.
actually spent a lot of our grant money I think I think we could do a few thousand on it, but we have other grant money. Yeah, the COVID money I've spent, but I have other grant money too that I was holding on to because we didn't know what to expect this year. So.
Oh, and I thought, I don't know if I mentioned it last month, but we actually got some rural aid money for FY 21 also, to the tune of about, I think it was around $20,000 that Shutesbury was allocated. So
Wow.
we're actually sitting really good this year for
Good.
a multitude of reasons. So
Okay, all good news.
yeah, really good news.
Any questions for Bruce? All right. So Jackie, was there anything else you wanted to add? I know you did your report earlier. Okay. Amherst Pelham representative, Stephen.
I'll keep this brief. So I do have one little thing for, it's not a man lift, it's a person lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is send me the quote for the phone system, because the capital planning is meeting on 4/21 specifically about the school. And
Okay.
so it may not go through because we haven't seen it before now, but if you send it to me, I'll send it out to everybody because we meet on the 21st.
Okay,
And
yeah, I think Matt has that.
Yeah.
I'll email Matt and ask him for it.
Yeah. I think he sent it over, but I'm not sure. So
And as far as regional updates, I will be calling Dr. Morris tomorrow about the bus thing, but I really did. I almost fell out of my seat. And I went at it because Amherst was all up in arms about the 6th grade riding the bus. And so that's the way that I went at it, but they didn't care. And the only other update I have is that I abstained from the vote of giving Dr. Morris the golden contract, where now at the end of every year, his contract extends a year. So he's going to be there for a long time now. And it wasn't about him, it was about the process. So I abstained this time instead of voting no. And that is my update.
Steve, and I'd actually love to chat. Maybe you can come over to the school after break, but I'd love to, I don't want to like put it on the agenda right now because we have enough things to deal with, but the parking lot is, I only know because we're out there for lunch and all day and I'm there for the entire hour. And the parking lot's looking a little interesting. And I know you have said that to me in the past, and I don't think we need to put it on capital planning for this year. We can obviously deal with it, but maybe it's something to just like, again, plant in their minds to think about in the coming years, because it's looking interesting.
Yeah, we just swept that on Monday morning.
Oh, that looks way better. So thank you. I'm talking about the paving.
No, I understand, but we got a close look at it again on Monday morning.
Well,
I'll bring it back.
Thank you for that, by the way. It looks really good, the sanding.
yeah, well, if we think it should be something that's addressed for next year, we should be letting them know now.
Like I said, I'd rather some of the other things be focused on right now, especially the heating system, but I just want it to be planted in their minds, because when we're out doing dismissal, arrival, and lunch and all of that every day, we're just seeing like chunks coming off and all of these things. So,
But I think that's the whole point of having the plan, is the plan should be, we prepare to do certain things at certain years, and it could be something like, when do you bring in a new police cruiser? It's after so many years, and having a plan is important. So it should be on that plan somewhere, just like
it is on it's on my historical plan that I always submit, but I don't know what it is in terms of the actual capital stuff.
Okay.
It is something we bring up every year at the capital planning. And I will say that because it's not a building, it's horizontal and not vertical, it is not in the purview of the buildings committee.
Mhm. Right. I don't think it has to be on a buildings committee, but I think it should be, on a plan somewhere, and then it gets worked in. So for example, if they're going to be paving on West Pelham Road, they may say, and when we do that, well, this is when we do the parking lot. I don't know. Again, they can come up with whatever the plan they want, but the plan, there should be somewhere in that plan.
Right. And a few years ago, there was a plan. I think it was what was it, Steve? $120,000 to do our parking lot or something. And it was going to go through, and then it was nixed at the last minute, is my memory.
Yeah, because the fire station, they already encumbered some money for that, but it's been so long now, they don't have enough. And so it's the fire station, the school, and then the highway department would be last. But yeah, but we do, it comes up every time we meet.
Great. Well, thank you. Union 28? Nada? Okay.
Meeting in May.
Okay. Collaborative, we haven't had a meeting, but we have been interviewing. We had 12 candidates that were in the selection. So the screening committee had 80 applications. They narrowed it down. Screening committee looked at, I don't know how many applications, narrowed it down to 12 candidates. We interviewed 12 candidates. So you're lucky, Jennifer, that you didn't do that. And we just finished this week and are moving 3 finalists forward. They will be announced, and the 3 finalists will do meeting different department heads and staff, I think via Zoom. There will be a town hall. There will be data and information collection from those people. And then eventually it comes to the full board for whoever candidates there are, and we vote. So that's where we are with that. Okay, policy reviews. Second reading, first vote, EBC, emergency plans. Do we have a motion to accept or approve? Can we do this easy again? Maybe we can have one person just continuously motion and one person continuously second, so it's easier record keeping for someone, and then we'll just vote.
Yeah, hang on a second. Let me just get visible. I move to approve EBC emergency plans.
Who's going to be the seconder?
I'll second it.
All right. Okay, any amendments or changes? All in favor? Aye.
I move to approve EDCB emergency closing of school procedure. Can I do them? Can I do them as a set?
I'll second.
Okay,
I move to approve.
we need to vote. Any
Oh, sorry, thank you.
any changes? No, all in favor? Aye.
I move to approve EEAEC student conduct on school buses. Potentially very relevant.
Yeah, I'll second that one.
Any amendments or changes? All in favor? Aye.
And I move to approve FA facilities development goals.
I'll second that.
Any amendments or changes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Final vote. Go ahead.
Can I do the second one as like the second set as a bunch, or do I need to do them individually?
Let's do them individually. Just to
Okay.
be on the
Move to approve DA fiscal management goals.
I'll second.
amendments or changes. All in favor?
Aye. I move to approve DJ purchasing.
I will second that.
Amendments or changes? All in favor?
Aye. And I move to approve DJA purchasing authority.
And I'll second that.
Amendments or changes? All in favor? Aye. So all of them passed unanimously. So you can see future business there. I'm not going to read through it. Is there anything else that anyone would like to discuss?
Can I share on the screen a draft of our response as a school committee?
Oh yeah, thank you.
One second. Do people need it to be bigger?
No, that's good.
I don't know if people are comfortable with this or.
I guess my question would be to Jackie. Does that address specifically some of the concerns that you had?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It addresses my concerns as well with representation.
I really appreciate this, even if the outcome is not what we want. I feel really, it feels really nice to have your support behind us, and maybe it will put an inkling into their brain that we can't find out, because we just found out on Tuesday about this. So we can't find out 3 days before a vacation when it's gonna, like, I just, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think between this and if they realize that we're asking an attorney to review the contract, they might think, oh, wow, they're really serious. We should probably relook at this. I hope. Stephen, how do you feel about that statement? Is there anything you'd like to change, or how do you feel?
I'd like a copy of it and I'll send it to Mike tonight.
Do you feel okay with this then?
Absolutely.
Okay. Does
Yeah,
anyone have
I appreciate the support. And, I do think in my 6 years here with Dr. Morris, there has been more communication. So I do want to make that public. I feel that he appreciates his partners at Union 28, but this busing issue just feels tricky and not right. And I'm not blaming anyone in particular, but I appreciate your support in trying to problem solve.
Great. Yeah, and we're not blaming anyone either. We just have a problem. We need it addressed. Jen, thank you for drafting it. Is there a motion to accept the statement from the Shutesbury School Committee as presented?
I'm so moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Can you go back to the full screen just so I know who's
Oh,
sitting on?
sorry, yes. Keep scrolling.
So all in favor?
Okay.
Okay, so passes unanimously.
Did we lose Trevor, by the way, or did he have to go?
We did lose him, I think, because I saw him, he left. I don't know what happened there, but it'll be easy. I think that's why I wanted one person to do all the motions and one person to do all the seconds. We can just say they all passed unanimously by whoever motioned and seconded. This one was a little bit different. Lauren motioned and Steve seconded, but it passed unanimously as well. Yes, Katie.
I just want to say thank you to Jen for putting, I think, all of our thoughts into a pretty clear statement that I think we can all really comfortably support.
Yes, thank you. So we'll need a motion to adjourn, go into executive session, inviting all of the administrative team, including Jackie and Bruce and Jennifer, and not to come back into open public session. Is
And
that
someone
right?
needs to send me the link.
Okay, I can do that right now.
Can you send all of us the link? I don't remember where I found whatever it is.
Yes.
I might have it on my calendar or whatever. All right, so we need to roll call out, and what time is it?
24.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
24, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, because that's what I screwed up the last time. I didn't record the times for the last executive session. All right, so we'll roll call out and then log in, and then we're gonna log out. We're not coming back into open public session. Hayes, aye. Yeah, Hayes, aye.
Malcolm Brown, aye.
Thomas Bacon,
Byander, aye.
Sullivan, I.
All right, this meeting is adjourned and we'll see you in an executive session. Thank you.
Sending the link now.
Thank you.
Thanks.